Welcome to Globig International Expansion Tips. Hi, I'm Anka Corbin. Globig helps companies go global easier, more effectively, more affordably, and with much less risk. Today's international expansion tips are all about factors to consider before you go global and for selecting that country to expand into. This is part 2 of our series. Today we're going to talk about assessing the ease of doing business in a country. The first factor to consider is language. As you can imagine, it's easier to expand into a country where you speak, read, and write the language. Most difficult is a country where the spoken and written language are completely different, such as English and Chinese. The second factor to consider are time zones. The farther away in time zones from your corporate office, the harder it is to do business with each other, because it's meeting live early in the morning or late at night can be challenging after a while. The third factor to consider is familiar culture. How familiar is that culture to your culture? While every country and every region is unique with a lot to learn, it's easiest to stay within familiar cultures, such as a Western culture to a Western culture, a Middle Eastern culture to a Middle Eastern culture, and an Asian culture to an Asian culture. Assess if the culture supports the type of business you do. If you have an edgy product, conservative and religious cultures might not be the best markets for you. The next thing to assess is how business friendly is the government. What are the processes for business setup, getting visas, ongoing business regulations? Are they onerous or are they fairly respectful? How about taxes and corruption? Another thing to consider is the infrastructure in the country and resources available. Are you able to access the internet? Do you need a dry climate? Is it easy to distribute your product within the existing infrastructure? Really important to consider those in advance. Surprisingly, that's not always compatible. What about the startup landscape and business landscape in the country? Is there a strong business and startup community, especially for your industry? Are there other founders to collaborate with? Are there great meetups and events and mentors? How about funding? Is funding available? Is it a startup-friendly legislative environment? Just make sure that you think about all of those things because they do impact your business. How about disposable income? Does your prospect have the income to buy your product? And if they do have the income, are they willing to spend the money on what you offer? Really good to figure that out before you go. How about manageable costs? How expensive is it to do business in the country you're looking at or the region you're thinking of setting up in? Setup fees, taxes, hiring costs, office space, just ongoing fees can really add up. How about travel to get there? Is it easy or hard to get in and out of? Logistics, and then the cost of living. Can your team make a good living and live there and have a quality of life? It's not always that easy in really expensive areas. The ninth tip is the ability to get and kind of keep your quality workforce. How easy or hard is it to find skilled employees? How easy or hard is it to hire them and keep them? Is it a really competitive environment? Is there a constant flow of highly skilled workers nearby? It's not easy to get people to relocate in some areas, especially in the EU. Oh, I can't tell you how many stories I know about companies that expanded into countries assuming that they could attract talent from the surrounding countries, and then that didn't happen. So it's, keep in mind, it's hard to relocate people. No matter what you offer, sometimes just being close to family is really, really critical for them. The 10th tip is how big is the market? Is the market or the surrounding market large enough to sustain your company and really be making you successful? An example of this is Singapore. Singapore is often not large enough of a market in itself, but it's still very popular as an Asian base because of it being English speaking with very business friendly regulatory environment. And what makes Singapore so interesting is it has a large Chinese and Indian market to do test marketing, and then it's a fantastic base to locate from and then expand into Asia from. So that's what makes Singapore so attractive, even when it's smaller. And then the last tip I have is the ideal target market for your company, the demographics and psychographics, are they there? Do you have enough of them? If you are a technology company, are the people there tech savvy enough to use it? If it's a very regulatory thing like medicine and fintech and health tech, can you get enough people to support you in that environment? If you're a social media company, does the environment really use social media the way that you need them to? If you are completely reliable on email marketing for driving customers, are you allowed to do the email marketing that you need to do to be successful? All of those things are really important for you just to know about, to assess, and then to score and just evaluate before you go. So that's it for this session. Don't forget to go to globig.co for all sorts of free resources such as podcasts and videos and blog articles and how-to guides and expansion resources. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and then join us, and we can help you go global and go big. Thank you.